to see you, Senator. Yeah. So how's it feel getting back in?
I tell you, it was the rest was good. You know, gave me time to refocus and spend some time with the family. You know how that works.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, I appreciate it, and now I'm back. And
then they had to twist your arm. They recruited you to come back home. But hey,
yeah.
But thank you. For
you know that. Yeah. But you called me that day. It's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? You crazy? Yeah. You said you weren't. But anyway. But hey, thank you again for wanting to serve and for continuing to serve.
Thank you.
And that's why we're here today. We're going to be talking about one of your bills that you introduced. It's going to have a public hearing this Friday. It's you've been at this ever since the war survivors. We're going to talk about this bill 94-33 as well as this second book that's coming out. So
yeah,
94-33. Tell us about it.
Well, you know, Jess, if you think at how we remember different events in our history, we have what day do we celebrate the end of the war on Guam?
That's right.
July 21st.
Yeah.
What day do we celebrate or do we remember the start of the war on Guam? December 8th.
Yeah.
We have a day to thank and memorialize and commemorate those soldiers and sailors that died valiantly, you know, for our island and for the nation. But then I, you know, come to thinking, what about a day that remembers the suffering of what our people had to endure? The only possession, the only place in the United States that had been subjected to being basically prisoners of war on their home, captives of an enemy force. And so we did some research, and we found that on June 28, 1947, President Harry S. Truman submitted a letter to Congress asking Congress for the authorization to be able to compensate and to look into compensating the people of Guam for the suffering they had to endure during the war.
So this is basically the beginning of war reparations.
Yes, it was basically the beginning. You know, and I found that date to be the significant because then it was the President of the United States recognized there was a great injustice. There was the suffering that was you know, posed upon our people. And he felt compelled that there should be a way to be able to make them whole, if you will, because of what they had to endure, and to recognize them for being, you know, loyal, how would you say, individuals, because we weren't citizens at that time of the United States. So we saw that date as being pretty significant, and that's the date that we chose, so that, you know, Again, it resurrects the fact that there was, and there continues to be, that effort to be able to recognize our people, but more so for us to be able to recognize.
No, let me ask you this, because I'm reading the bill, and I know early on when you introduce it, you had some criticism, and here's another day off, here's another paid holiday, and everything. You're not asking for that. You're not asking for that.
No,
but you know, me on the other hand, I'm saying it should be. It should be a day that we honor. You know, just like as you say, the day where the liberation. You know, I mean, there's a big buildup. I mean, we're already starting this weekend. This Friday, we're already starting Liberation Day festivities. So we're leading up to that. There's a crescendo on that activity. December 8th is the same thing. I'm going, why shouldn't it be the same thing?
Well, first off, you know, there's a category that we have in our laws called special holidays. Okay, and the special holidays, unlike the regular holidays, it actually has the leeway. You know, it does give the discretion to the executive branch, to the governor, through executive order, that he can so to be able to make it you know, a holiday as most people would see it. I felt important that I know and I recognize there's going to be all of this discussion, okay? And I didn't want that to be the discussion about this.
You didn't want that to hinder the importance of what you were trying to do.
Exactly. Well, you know, and you know, just, you know, one of the things is you got to think. It's called War Survivor Day. It's to help to honor, you know, those that survived the war. You know, if we were to sit here on this seat 15, 20 years from now, okay, and, you know, knock on wood, we probably won't have any survivor to honor because they're no longer around.
We'll probably be able to sell the story on the second person, basically, but not in the first person anymore. And again, thanks for people like yourself that put the book out, publications like that, to be able to do so. But without that, I won't be able to have guests, probably not.
And so what I wanted to do is in the legislation is set a day, set one day of the year, so that we can honor them and give us, an awareness.
Sure.
I'd like for that day to be spent by, the grandkids and the kids, to be with our Manumco, those that are still here. Thank them and get their stories.
And that was my thing when I first read it as well. Is I wanted to go again to that point already.
Right.
Now I understand that you didn't want the discussion to be to be mumbled in day of, where how much it's going to cost the government, and then that becomes the issue, as opposed to be honoring what this is for. And now I understand. But see, I want to get there already.
Sure.
I want to get there already because, as you know, and Keenan and I were talking about this on the radio show. We're talking about, what I don't want to happen is that day will come, and I'm sure it'll pass, and I'm sure the governor will sign this into law, right? I don't see who would vote against it. But what I don't want to happen is down the line, you're going to say, hey, tomorrow are you going to work because we're having this? What's tomorrow? What's tomorrow? And if that can happen now, imagine, as you said, 10, 15, 20 years from now,
right,
when it goes, when again we have more and more of our war survivors who have left us, and that could happen. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, because look now, every year this Liberation Day festivities is, it's lasting longer, man.
Right.
It used to be 1 week, now it's a couple months.
Right.
All that. So I hope that's what happens. I hope we would never forget, and I hope that so. When that discussion comes on Thursday, starting on Friday, Friday, that we blow it up a little more. That it's really, again, the day of remembrance and honoring and thanking, actually.
Right.
Right.
And it gives us that latitude. It gives us the opportunity that, in the bill, it provides that the governor shall constitute and put together a committee, a special committee, to be able to plan out these events, plan out what should be considered, what should be done, work with public relations, do a media campaign, if you want, go all out. It gives us that latitude. Again, and it gives us this day. We can come in and say, we got to be out. I'm taking away that whole discussion that if we wanted to honor the war survivors, when are we going to do this?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
While we've traditionally, and sometimes it could be argued, that we've done this during Liberation Day, the 21st of July, still, I don't want to take away from what that celebration was about.
And I was one of the proponents of maybe renaming, because there are people that would call in, there are people that would say, hey, I'm no longer going to be a part of that. And I said, maybe we can come to a compromise that we call it something else, but it has something for everybody, in that. But with something like this, I'm getting some ideas. If I was the legislature, I'm going, hey, this may be an opportunity to start off the Liberation Campaign, start off. This is what we honor, and it becomes a whole thing of honoring in different phases of that, because the war took different phases.
Yeah, and to go back to why we've done this is Jess, you and I have had these conversations even when we served in the legislature together. It's this whole opportunity, this whole need, necessity to be able to recognize and to honor them. Okay. And so, while there continues to be that discussion, in those individuals' pay grades way above ours, I'm saying, look, enough's enough. If you don't want to do it, get out of the way. We're going to take care of it.
There you go. Yeah. I got to pay some bills. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this, the date and times of course, the public hearing, and then this new book, because not only are you trying to print more of the last book, but you got a new book coming out too.
Yeah.
Yes. It's about food.
Yes.
Be right back.
This program is brought to you by GTA.